Why, hello, Denver Startup Week. Start me up. This is Benjamin Kepner of Global Social Media Marketing. Thank you for joining my presentation today and the warm welcome from Denver Startup Week. This is the presentation on 3 simple sales steps to survive and thrive. So who is this guy on screen right now? You might be wondering. Well, I'm the founder and CEO of Global Social Media Marketing. I am a local Denverite who created a startup right here in Denver, Colorado, about 3.5 years ago now. I graduated from the University of Georgia Terry College of Business, so go Dogs. I'm a HOWELL Accelerator Academy alumni for anybody that's in the Facebook advertising world and have joined their mastermind program. I'm also an Academy group member of the Video Ranking Academy. I also am teaching at the Digital Workshop Center, so shout out to them in Fort Collins, Colorado, as the Google Ads and Google Analytics instructor. I'm also a Google for Education certified trainer, and if you know anything about me on a personal level, you know that I am an STS9 fanatic. So let's rewind a little bit back 1 year. I know last year was a pretty crazy year for everyone, myself included, so I thought it would be kind of deja vu, nostalgia, to kind of go through like those things that we experienced as a company during last year. So, last year we actually had a really dramatic summer where we lost our biggest client. They were a travel booking company because the travel industry, as we know, pretty much got shut down and had a huge market failure. Around that time, I started to realize really what was important in my life. And, my mother has always been my why for our company. So you'll kind of see here on this right-hand side, if you probably don't even recognize me at that stage, right? It was, I guess, during the year of last year, right, where people weren't even able to go to the haircut place or shaving their beard or anything. So that's actually me and my mother in North Carolina, going on a hike together, and got to isolate, actually. I left Denver for a little bit of time, spent some time with her, and then took a part of my personal salary. As most CEOs, I think, that really were trying to grow their company, I decided to take a pay cut and to restructure the company last summer, and be with her. We also lost our longest standing client, who at that time was a waste management company. They're actually the largest waste management company here in Colorado. And, as most bigger corporations were looking at investments, they also felt that they needed to reduce their marketing budget because of the risk and the uncertainty of things that were going on last year. I had multiple applications through the PPP loan application. I remember being very frustrated working with multiple banks, going through that process, trying to get in contact, trying to figure out, how could we get funding so that I could keep my team. And I was unable to get the PPP loan. I think I tried like 3 or 4 different occasions, went to multiple banks. And then because of that, even with cutting my salary, even with isolating in the woods, I had to reduce employee hours. And that was a really tough scenario. Thankfully, in my scenario, I went against my friends and family's advice to let go of people. I kept everybody on our team and just cut their hours, and was able to kind of push through that. So you kind of see some of those things as some quotes of last year, our rejection, and then that reminder of what was my why? What was I doing all this for? And it was because of my mother. So how do we respond to all that crazy stuff, right? So I've got a number of quotes that I'll be showing, and these are all kind of my Facebook posts. And I think a lot of people as an entrepreneur, right, they definitely had to be resilient. They had to be motivated and be inspired. And so I have kind of one of my first quotes in this presentation is to follow your dreams, believe in yourself, and don't give up, right? Like, I think if any entrepreneur gives up, that's when somebody's won. And I've seen a number of different presentations this year kind of saying how, that's what separates successful companies or CEOs from everybody else, is that they just don't give up. So, you look at our recap. I posted this, funny enough, right at the end of 2020 of what we were able to do last year. So you can see that we retained 8 awesome people. We published consistent content. We expanded into writing an ebook, doing webinars, virtual summits, podcasts, blog articles, YouTube videos, and then creating tons of ads. We also innovated with new service offerings and partnered with some of these people that you'll see on screen if you're watching the presentation at home. If not, it's Go High Level, Network After Work, Amazon, and ManyChat. we actually tripled our client portfolio, which I feel like for me is a testament to our resiliency and our ability to find new customers. I think a lot of businesses went under last year, and we actually were able to grow last year. And so that, just looking at that, tripling our client base, going to new industries, and then we had no PPP loan funding. I fired nobody. I actually increased everybody's pay that stayed with us, and we grew sales 20% year over year. I said Happy New Year there. So that's how we responded, right? We pushed through the struggles, and that kind of leads me into hopefully why you're attending this presentation today, right? What are the 3 simple steps to do what we did to grow in a very hostile environment, or an environment that was very uncertain, right? So in order to survive and thrive, these are the 3 steps. So if you take nothing away from today's presentation, if you're joining, I would write these down as any type of sales strategy that you could apply to any business. So step 1 is to partner with competitors that have more clients. Step 2 is to offer new pricing options via consulting rates. Step 3 is to create new services for additional revenue streams. And it was these 3 simple steps that we implemented over the course of last year and early into this year that have really pushed us forward. And I'm proud to say that our sales are even higher than 20% year over year growth. We might be looking anywhere from 50 to 100% year over year growth this year for sales. So I know that these work and the numbers don't lie. So let's start with step number 1, partnering with competitors. I think in business, a lot of people are fearful or very, let's say, competitive as entrepreneurs, to look at their competitors not as partners, but as the competition. And I think the difference between the way I look at business is that I want to work with people in a collaborative manner. And that's one of the values that I have for our company and for me, to ultimately help win-win situations. Like, obviously there's always going to be competition in any marketplace, but if you look at it from a different perspective on actually collaborating with your competitors, it can actually be very beneficial. On top of that, if your competitors have more clients and they just don't have the bandwidth, that's also a really good way to help them with fulfillment, even if they have the relationship with the direct customer or client. So one of the things that we did, I actually went through an accelerator program. If you're not familiar with that in the startup community, it's essentially a program that connects you with people that are doing exactly what you're doing in a given industry or niche, so that they can kind of teach you as a trailblazer the things that they've learned, so you don't make those same faulty successes or mistakes. And so what I did in 2019, kind of rewind even further back, I joined an exclusive Facebook Ads Accelerator Academy program. It was really at that time, I was doing a lot of sales funnels. Facebook was still not as saturated as it is today. And there wasn't all of these iOS tracking changes. And so I went through this accelerator program to learn Facebook ads and learn how to scale our company to a $10 million company. That was the point of me joining this accelerator program. And so I was connected with these Facebook marketers all over the world. The founder was actually based in New Zealand. A lot of the people in that group were from the United Kingdom and Australia. And so, I was able to take our agency to the next level by working with them and actually diversifying, offering YouTube to these Facebook marketers. A lot of Facebook issues were happening last year. And so it was actually giving them another service option that they could offer to their existing clients. Even though that we might be direct competitors where I do Facebook ads, I had an additional service that they didn't offer, but it made perfect sense for them, right? So I was able to reach out to them and kind of develop a sales strategy around that to offer our services. It also gave me access to them for talent if I needed, help with our sales funnels or Facebook ads. And then actually being in this accelerator program gave me an access to some of the best marketers in the world to actually work and recruit with them as well too. So this is actually one of the big key factors, I would say, in scaling our company in 2020 and actually connecting with some of the best social media marketers in the world. Second thing that we did partnering with competitors is we entered into a CRM or marketplace through Go High Level. And if you haven't heard of Go High Level, definitely go check it out. If you're a small business, I think you can use their solution for less than $300 a month, which is very affordable for a CRM. If you're in business, you know that CRMs can be in the thousands. And the unique thing about Go High Level is that it was actually a marketing agency founder that created the CRM solution that was developed for marketing agencies. He was using Salesforce or Infusionsoft or ClickFunnels, all of these other CRM platforms that were maybe not created from a marketer's standpoint and seeing those pitfalls. And so he created the solution, and then he decided that he would allow this to be a software solution. And that's really the vision that they're headed into now, is giving marketing companies a software as a service solution. So now that they're actually becoming a SaaS company. And what you're able to do with this solution is you're actually able to set up a CRM for a given business and it still be under your account and you're not paying more. So in our case, as a Go High Level partner, that was one of the things that we were able to develop. We can now offer a CRM solution to all of our clients, and it doesn't cost us additional money. So that was a new kind of revenue stream, but also a partnership. And so some of the things that you'll see here in the slide deck, if you're watching the presentation that Go High Level does, is it automates marketing by generating, nurturing, and managing leads. It allows you to build landing pages, surveys, forms, and quizzes. You can nurture them to close and move people through the pipeline. And then you can also integrate payment processing and build out snapshots of what those successful sales funnels look like. So, I can kind of see as a quote down here, my philosophy is strong people don't put others down. They actually lift them up. And so that's kind of the feel that I have, with some of our competitors, is I think they can actually be some of the best people that we work with. I don't look at it as, hey, I'm not going to tell them things. Hey, I'm hiding things from them. Let's collaborate. Let's be open-minded. Let's create win-wins that grow both of our businesses. So from there, it was kind of thinking about, okay, we're partnering with all these competitors, these other marketing agencies that do what we do. They're really focused on Facebook. Well, we needed to adapt to our client base. So you can kind of see Waste Connections of Colorado. As I mentioned, they're the largest trash management company in Colorado. Shout out to them. It's been an amazing relationship with them that I had during my time here in Colorado. But unfortunately, during that time, I was doing a lot of Facebook and there was a lot of issues. And that's when I went into that accelerator program and started tapping into that program and saying, why is nobody doing YouTube ads? YouTube is exploding. There's a lot of people watching video. There's not as many people advertising there. There's kind of more search intent based for anybody that knows YouTube, right? You can obviously go to YouTube and search on YouTube versus Facebook is kind of more of that interruptive, disruptive marketing platform. And so that's what I did. I tapped into that network and kind of was getting out of Facebook and making that transition. And my next quote for you in the presentation is that miracles do occur and it's never too late to turn your life around and reach for something better. So this is a classic example of that, right? And so kind of going into that, this was the scary message that I got one day. One day I woke up and it was like, hey, your account has been disabled. And we're not talking like my business account or something, like literally my Facebook personal profile with, the thousands of friends. And I've been on Facebook, since college, right? Like 2009, 2008. And just woke up one day and my entire Facebook account, keep in mind, I'm managing 15 businesses at this stage in 2020 on Facebook ads, spending thousands of dollars. And it just created a mess. You might imagine my clients are coming to me that day saying, what do you mean your Facebook account is down, Benjamin? You're our Facebook ads expert and you don't even have a Facebook profile? It was a hard conversation to say the least. There was a lot of things that I went through. I remember talking to my COO, shout out to him, Farron Knoll, and him just saying, hey man, maybe we need to diversify and not put all of our eggs in baskets. And that was kind of our turning point as a company to really make that pivot and try to, start to expand into YouTube. And so this was a really scary moment. And, again, nothing against, I will never talk badly about, companies or, things that happen in companies. And we all know also recently Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp had an outage this past week. That was all over the news. And I think those lessons, what they need to teach a business owner from a sales and lead generation perspective is don't have all your eggs in one basket, have multiple channels, diversify your revenue streams, right? So this was kind of my wake up call. And then the rest is history. And the funny thing is we don't even do a lot of Facebook ads now. So we've really made that pivot and adapted because of last year. So, looking at marketing to other marketing agencies, right? What does that look like? What was even the thinking behind that? How did that come out, right? It's all being kind of inspired by this idea that we had all these people I was connected to, but they weren't offering YouTube, but they do what we do. So there's a diagram here from The Balance that kind of explains the decision process for the difference between marketing to a B2B or B2C. And when you look at that B2B diagram in our presentation, if you're watching today, is that you can see that actually in B2B, people are very logic driven. So what's the logic for another marketing company to work with another marketing company? Well, actually, it's that agencies, marketing companies, the big ones out there, right? They have so much work sometimes that they can't handle all of it. Also, marketing is a very complex thing right now. It's not like it used to be back in the 90s. You did a lot of television, direct mail, right? It's gotten a lot more digital now. So now you got to have a website. Now you need to have social media. Now you need to be email marketing. Now you might be doing Zooms or webinars and these types of things, right? So it's just gotten more complex. So when you think about all the different things that you can do in marketing, there's really no way that any marketing company could be an expert at all of those different marketing disciplines. Sure, they could be a full service marketing agency, offer all of these things. But as we know as experts, right, when you're truly an expert at something, you're usually an expert at one or two things, right? So for us, the idea was, hey, we are experts at YouTube. I had been doing YouTube for a really long time. That's where I had started my career. And we should just kind of focus on that specific expertise and pitch that to other agencies that don't have the bandwidth for that, right? And the other thing is that we wanted to help them get better results. So if you're a marketing company, I would speak to any marketing people in the crowd. I know there's a number of CEOs. You know that your marketing, if it's not making money, you're cutting that budget. So you have to have a return on investment. And if that ROI is not there, then generally you're going to be turning that off, right? There's other plays with marketing, branding, and things like that. But at the end of the day, the logic for us going and getting new marketing companies as clients was that they needed to get better results and they didn't have the time, resources, or bandwidth to execute on those YouTube ad services. So we took our time, we recharged ourselves, and we came back stronger than even ever before because we were expanding in that and really focusing on that one expertise to offer to other marketing agencies. So that story of HOWELL, right? You can kind of see some of the people that we were working with at that time, they were struggling with Facebook. So we were kind of pitching our YouTube ad services. We didn't have a lot of clients at that time either. So the idea there was, hey, let's go after the bigger marketing companies and see if we can be a value add for them to their clients. And so you can kind of see this crazy looking spreadsheet. I actually had 9 interns for our company. We've seeded a major internship program at the University of Georgia. I've been doing that for about 3 years now. So if there's any interns or potential people looking for opportunities, feel free to reach out from the presentation. But this is kind of this spreadsheet. And so we had our entire team spend an entire semester building out this list. And the idea, if you can kind of visualize this, is I'm sure some people in the audience have joined Facebook groups. We joined a Facebook group. There's about 800 other social media agency founders. So what I did one late night, pulled an all-nighter, went and just typed in every single person from that Facebook group. It was about 800 people. I had to manually go and type down their first and last name. And then I put their Facebook profiles. And then I put that into a spreadsheet and I told my team, go find all of this information. Go find first name, last name, email, phone number, website, company name. What services do they offer? Are they doing YouTube ad services? What unique verticals are they in as a marketing agency? Do they do e-commerce? Do they retail? Do they do tech? And so I built this massive spreadsheet, and then I had soft approaches in sales. So what I would do first is I would Facebook friend request them because they're already Facebook advertisers. They're on that platform. Next thing I would do is I go to their LinkedIn, send them a connection there, connect with them on that, right? So I had these soft touch points of connecting with people first, right? And I think a lot of people in sales, sometimes they go straight in for the sale. They call you, they email, they haven't even connected with you. They haven't interacted. They haven't done anything of value. And I think that's a big topic that's come out of Denver Startup Week is that you need to have this give first mentality. And then that's going to reward you. And that's going to be good karma. And it's going to come back to you versus going and selling really hard and, not even really understanding the person or building rapport, understanding their problems. So you can kind of see in this presentation, if you're watching here on the right-hand side, one of our clients that we had through the academy as we're building out this master list, I'm kind of sending the invites. First thing I did is I thought about, where does my audience live? And my audience was Facebook advertisers, right? So the idea there was like, wait a second, does anybody in sales ever send direct Facebook messages? I mean, that might kind of seem, a little bit different, right? Like average salesperson's probably spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, their email, their calling. But if my audience is on Facebook and I'm their friend, I actually have to pay $0 to send them a small little message on Facebook. And so you can see exactly what I said. I said, hey, Danielle, This is Benjamin Kepner. I'm a fellow alumni. So immediately I built rapport there of saying, hey, we're in that same Facebook group. We come from the same background. The next thing I say is I'm reaching out to other alumni regarding if they're currently offering YouTube ads. So again, I haven't pitched. I'm kind of like curiosity there. And then I kind of go on to say as a service to their existing Facebook ad clients. So now I'm already knowing my audience, right? I know she already does Facebook ads. And then I'm saying as a way to diversify yourself. So I'm adding value there. I'm kind of saying, hey, I know you come from the same background as me. I know you offer Facebook ads, but you're not offering YouTube ads. Have you thought about doing this? Because it's actually like an exploding trend that's happening, but it's also another way for you to diversify your revenue streams and even help your clients even more. And so then I kind of go on to continue social proof there. After that, I say I've gotten some awesome results with other alumni. So I'm letting her know, hey, I've actually gotten good results. And if you want to check word of mouth in the group or that same community, like you can reach out to them. And I actually have like a testimonial video I'd be happy to share. And so then I kind of go on and I just say, hey, are you interested at all to just set an exploratory call? And then I always close in sales when I'm talking to a potential prospect with a question. That's a big thing in sales, right? Like if you end an email with not setting the next step or the next value add or the next, when are we going to meet? Then it just leaves it a loop. So you always kind of say that even better. Like I said, next week, but maybe I could have said like, are you available Monday or Wednesday? And then you could see her response. Like she didn't respond right away, but then she was like, yeah, actually, this sounds really good. Can you send me a booking link? Right. And so this is kind of that concept, like talking through this, right? Of knowing your audience, where are they, sending a very short message, right? What is that, like 3 to 4 sentences, but then just jam-packed with value. We come from the same place. I understand your business. Here's a revenue opportunity. Would you like to set an exploratory call? Right? That's a much better approach than just trying to go in and sell somebody. So actually, from doing all of these crazy messages, right, we got the chance to work with GROWBIZ. So shout out to Dice K if he ever gets to see this presentation. He's been a great partner, right? You know, essentially he does what we do. He's an e-commerce agency based out of Brisbane, Australia, down under. And, you know, it was like, he knew he needed to be doing YouTube ads for his client, but he didn't have the bandwidth. And so at the end of the year, this is a screenshot from their account. And actually on the YouTube front, we were able to generate $250,000. Yep, you heard that right. $250,000 just from doing YouTube ads. It was actually a webinar sales funnel. We were working with a client that sells a course, and that course was being sold through a webinar. And then once we were able to come in and work with him on YouTube, the rest is history, right? And that was really for us. When we got $250,000 over the last year in sales through YouTube, we knew we had something there. And then that's when we were like, okay, GROWBIZ is proof of concept. Like we know this works. We know that other marketing agencies don't really specialize in YouTube. That is a really specific problem and niche that we solve. Let's make sure we're reaching out to all these people and trying to get these same results. So that's kind of the Cat Howell level story, right? Like literally worked with other people that do exactly what we do, but then looking in the parts of the business maybe where they didn't have the time, resources, or money or the capabilities, and then coming in and adding value to them and saying, hey, let's not try to be in competition. Let's help each other. The other thing that we did that I mentioned earlier on in the presentation was becoming a Go High Level partner. So as I mentioned, Go High Level is pretty much going in this huge explosive growth platform as a CRM solution. So if you're a small business or a startup for any matter, go check them out. Great solution. Pretty much our story there, because they're still kind of new, is that in order to become a partner, you had to, number one, be using their platform, but you had to submit a video. So shout out to some of our old interns or team members that we had in Perry, Ardell, and Sarah. They were able to help us make a video that was approved by Go High Level, and then we were able to get into their partnership directory. So the interesting thing about that, right, is a lot of people don't realize with software companies that a lot of softwares have affiliate programs. And then secondly, if you are like a specialized software provider and you know how to implement it or you have a certification, then they actually want to put you in their directory because think about it from this perspective, right? If you create a very successful software company with millions of people using your software, you probably don't have the bandwidth internally as a company again to manage all of those people using your software. You don't have time to sit down with them, take calls, troubleshoot their different accounts. So again, there we come in again, right? It's like literally we could have built our own software and been a competitor and do all these things, or we could just use their software and now being their partnership director, where they literally send us leads saying, Benjamin, we don't have time to help all these new people using our software, but you're a partner, you know what you're doing, go high level. Why don't we just send you leads and you set everything up and manage things for them, right? So that was kind of the same principle that we use at HOWELL, right? Looking at almost a direct competitor of ours, where are the opportunities where they don't have the bandwidth, time, resources, knowledge, any of those things. How can we help grow their business and share knowledge and be collaborative? And that's kind of what that is. And so this is a screenshot on screen of our partnership credentials. And that was a big thing for us, right? Getting that. And it's been really exciting working with High Level. We're using that for most of our clients now. And it's going to be a new business model for us now. We're not just a marketing service company. We are a software company now, which is really cool to say that. Number two, offering a new pricing option, right? So pricing was definitely a huge concern for a lot of people in 2020, as we know, cutting budgets, not making big financial investments. And so, one of the things, if anybody's ever met me or checked out our YouTube channel, you know that I'm a big fan of live music. And, it was very interesting. Funny enough, this guy came to me, he found us on YouTube. He was searching, I think, on LinkedIn or Google. He found our YouTube channel. He actually found me and my mother at the Rolling Stones concert at the Broncos Mile High Stadium in Denver. So definitely shout out to the Stones. Love those guys and my mom if you're watching. But it was just funny, this guy had consumed all of this media on me, never talked to me, comes into the call. He's like, Benjamin, you're the guy. He's like, I watched your videos. I love that you were at the Rolling Stones concert with your mom. But I'm a struggling musician. Like, all the event venues are closed. And, he was a bluegrass musician living out of California. He's near Orange County. And he was pretty much just not getting book deals as most musicians were going through it. And that really hit home with me because I'm such a big live music person. And I really believe in, musicians and artists, that they're just, sometimes they don't get the recognition that they deserve. And so it was really interesting to kind of hear what he was going through last year, and kind of having that empathy as a salesman and kind of understanding, how can I help this guy? Like, he couldn't afford maybe our thousands of dollars packages that we offer for our normal solutions. So how could we maybe take our package solution and break that down? Like, break that down into deliverables, break that down into processes, break that down into hours for bandwidth on our team. And what does that look like? And so, funny enough, we're in this Google Meet call. He's talking to me on his bus. He's a struggling bluegrass musician. He's got no concerts, he's got no wedding venues, he's got no deals booked. And he was just like, you know what, Benjamin? He's like, if you send me, like, I have an intern, that's somebody that just graduated. Like, if you could just spend some time with me and teach me what you know, or kind of teach this person what you know, I feel like we could make some progress on social media. And, at this time for musicians, right, it was really hard for them to do any networking in person. So, he was literally relying all on social media to get new people in the door to listen to his music, go to his concerts, buy his records, whatever he could do, right? And so shout out to Tea House Music Company and Chris Murphy. I've seen that he's been touring a lot. I was really happy to just, see that he's getting deals or whatever again. But pretty much that whole discussion, what it came down, he was like, Benjamin, could you give me a $500 to $700 option instead of your thousands of dollars package to do specific things that you would normally do in your package as a consulting rate? And so that's actually what ended up happening. You can kind of see here in this next slide, if you're watching, that we have all of these different consulting rate options that kind of we innovated out of this idea. So the first thing, this is funny thinking back, at that time we were offering $30 an hour, which is crazy, right? Like, that's not a good consulting rate. Our consulting rate today is edging towards 80 an hour. We'll probably be on pace to be over 100 hour by the end of this year is kind of our goal. So when you look at that from a business, right? Like, if you're able to charge a $70, $100 an hour rate for somebody in your company, there's probably a good profit margin there, right? Especially if you've got somebody that's entry level, you're not working with a senior level person, but you've created maybe some processes or standards of procedures on how to do consulting. What do those topics look like, right? And so it's funny to just think, way back when, $30 an hour at that stage was enough to get us through. And now we're triple that rate, right? And so I think what comes out of that is these are literally proposals that I sent, just little quick screenshots. It was just kind of saying, hey, we can help you. We're not going to do our full service, but we'll be a consultant. And actually, consultants last year was a huge demand thing. A lot of people don't realize that people were searching for information more than ever, right? People are at home more. There's a lot of weird things happening last year. They needed to research things more. They needed new solutions. They had to adapt their business. They had to pivot. So people wanted more information last year, I would say, in general, working with us. Like they wanted to learn things. And so that's where that consulting rate made perfect sense. And then it was like, yeah, we're not going to make as big of a profit and we're not going to have as big of sales, but hey, we still got cash flow coming in. Hey, we're getting more customers. Hey, maybe we do consulting and then we can flip those people eventually into our full service if we provide enough value and we spent time and we've actually empowered them, right? I think that's another thing, unfortunately, in our space in the marketing world. A lot of marketing companies, they don't tell you what they're doing. They don't give you access to systems. They don't tell you their strategy. Some people look at that as a proprietary process, and I understand that. So no offense to them, that's their decision. For me personally, if you haven't noticed, I'm a transparent guy. I believe that in sales and in business, that if you want somebody to trust you, you need to be transparent and you need to empower them. You don't need to hide things. Obviously, it's proprietary information. That's a legality. I get that. But if you can build transparency and build trust by showing people your processes and empowering them, it goes a really long way. The second thing that you'll see on the slide if you're watching is you'll see our video shoots, right? So it's kind of getting to that too, where if you work with a video production company, if anyone's done that before in your company, you realize that video production is very expensive. It could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 just for one video, right? So what I was able to do is kind of break that out for people because we were starting to talk to these Facebook people. And as I showed you with Danielle, who was based in San Diego, she was like, well, can you guys fly out here and do this? And so we did, and I kind of mapped it out. I put out, the travel expenses. I said, this is exactly what you're getting. This is the script writing. We're able to do drone footage. Here's the cost of a YouTube video. This is the hour allocation of how long it's going to take, right? So instead of just sending them a bill and saying, hey, here's $2,000 for video production for YouTube ads, I literally went through every single process and stepped and then tried to put that out in a consulting rate so that it was more digestible as kind of a more low ticket offer. And then that way we could still get their business. They could be a customer and we could still help them without also maybe having to spend as much time and kind of, find that right balance. So because of all this paid strategy consultancy calls, that actually evolved another new kind of service offering for our business where we're actually to offer a $100 YouTube call, right? So what I would say is some people would find me through networks or through Go High Level. We were partnering there and they were saying, hey, I'm trying to get off of Facebook. I'm having a lot of issues with Facebook. Do you do YouTube ads? Great. Hey, well, I don't really have the financials to pay for your full service. I don't know if I have the time to do 15 hours of consulting a month. Could I just book a one-time almost audit call with you, a strategy call where I pay you for a one-time call? I'll open my account to see all my metrics, my cost per lead, my revenue, cost per click, all the data in my account, and just give me direction or, what do I need to do to improve things? And so that's actually another innovation that happened for us last year is I started just saying, here's my calendar. You can see if you're watching my Calendly, they could literally go in. I could automate the entire book call process. So I'm not wasting any times in qualifying or nurturing or building reports. Literally, here's my page. You want to go book a call? Here's my calendar, pick a time. Hey, right after you book the call, there's going to be a PayPal option. This is completely integrated with Calendly. You can pay for that call before you book the call. It's paid. I would get that deposit in my PayPal account, and then I'm doing an hour call. The cool thing about this is I did one of these paid strategy calls in the beginning of December, and it was for the solar industry. And it turned into a video that I recorded. He actually wanted it recorded, so I sent him the consultancy call. And I said, wait a second, this could actually probably help a lot of people. I should upload this to YouTube. And so I uploaded it at the beginning of December. This video here, if you're watching the presentation on the right, I'm not going to play through the audio for time's sake, just so you see what this looks like visually. It's literally a guy, as I scroll through this, me sharing my screen and going through all of his different platforms, right? Like in his account, going to his website, going to his spreadsheet is a screen share. This is not some Hollywood movie award-winning video that was produced. However, it delivered a ton of value. And so anyone that's ever doing any sales videos, I would say, don't be fearful in the production quality, focus more on the content and the value that's provided in the video. And so that's what this video did. This video actually today has over 150,000 views in about 10 months, 719 likes, 35 comments, and we generated 868 subscribers to our channel from this video that are now constantly watching all of our other videos. So it was really cool, right? Like we actually developed a new service consulting one-time $100 call and then turned that into a video that now that video generally is like helping a ton of people and has actually led to more business for us. So looking at like all these new services, right, as we kind of see like what was I thinking last year was not, hey, we just do Facebook ads. Like I'm not selling Facebook. Facebook's, not doing well. Let's give up. It's like, what else aren't we doing? What else can we be doing? So you look at all the different services with step 3 of these 3 simple sales steps, right? We published our first ebook. We started doing landing pages for people through Go High Level because that's like a marketing automation and CRM solution. We started doing quizzes was a big thing so that we could better qualify prospects. We started doing live webinars like we're doing right now in Zoom, right? That was a big thing that happened last year. Webinar search volume exploded. People weren't doing these in-person engaging kind of meetings or presentations. So we did a lot of webinars, virtual summits. The video shoots I already mentioned, right? We kind of started breaking that out instead of just sending a one-time bill. We actually mapped it out at a consulting rate. We started doing chatbots last year. If anyone's ever heard of ManyChat, that is a chatbot solution that you can integrate with Facebook or through your website. Started doing brand deals, which is just really the concept of working with your brands that you love if you're an influencer and promoting their products or their services. We started doing a lot of training videos and consulting, right? Consulting rate was like a new pricing option that we never really offered, and we're kind of moving towards that $100 an hour. And then YouTube ads. YouTube ads was like really where we have pivoted. We're finding a lot of good success. So if you're not running YouTube at this stage, then you guys need to get on that platform because it's the #1 video platform in the world. I know everyone loves to talk about TikTok and the huge growth that happened there, but just keep in mind that TikTok is the new guy on the block, and Zoom's been around for a while. So what I would also say is that we turned our high ticket services into low price products. So, I have a quote on here that I get knocked down, but I get up again, right? So one of the things that we did is that we published our first ebook. So we actually created a product as a service-based industry. So I would say anybody that runs a service-based industry, any process or SOP, if you want to turn that into an info-based product, that's another revenue stream. Amazon's very easy to do that. You don't have to be a publisher. You could even upload like a Google Doc or something. We obviously spent a lot of time on it. I had our content writer, Daniel Bracey, shout out to him. Huge project that he helped me do. We also then kind of expanded to podcasts. I would say like without having the in-person normal sales meeting, like how else can I make sales? I could go network on a podcast. I could be a guest speaker. And so you can kind of see I took a screenshot from the One Big Tip, one of the podcast quotes that I did there, and kind of looking at that. And excuse me as I kind of grab my charger real quick. I just want to make sure I've got battery. Cool. Sorry about that. And then, so the other thing that we did is we had the YouTube ads webinar funnel, right? Where we were taking these leads from webinars, as I mentioned, and that was a new thing for us. Like the idea that people were spending more time on webinars and watching videos. So, if I can't be in person with somebody, maybe what I could do is I could educate them and I could teach them something on a webinar for a product or service, and it would actually educate them, right? I mean, think about a webinar. If you've ever bought like a high priced item, and this is a great example for software companies or anybody that's in the tech space, right? Like if you're going to be making like $1 million purchase or anything really over, I would say the $1,000 range, you need to be educated, right? And so a webinar does that. So you kind of see this funnel if you're watching our webinar funnel kind of innovation. This all kind of came out of last year was running a YouTube ad and then integrating the different platforms to track that YouTube ad as they click on the ad and then go to a landing page. So we were using like Google Tag Manager. Google Ads is the platform that the ads are promoting the YouTube videos. Google Analytics is actually the platform where we can see people move through the funnel and track all of our analytics. EverWebinar was our webinar solution. So shout out to them. Anyone that's looking at webinars as a way to grow their sales in their company, I would recommend them. And then we were also looking into e-commerce platforms. So literally, if you can imagine, right, if you've ever attended a webinar, info-based product, I even see a lot of people right now doing this with like plant-based foods, which is interesting. So if you're thinking e-commerce here, it's definitely a place too. And it's a YouTube ad that then goes to a landing page for them to register to attend your webinar. They watch your webinar to consume, get to know you more, spending time. They're learning more about your service or product offering, and then you're taking them to a sales page and they're converting. Hyros would be the last thing that you might be seeing on this page. This is actually a tool that also I would say a lot of people have moved to because we're moving through multiple systems, right? And that's why we're using Hyros. So this is kind of that diagram. Another thing that we did as we're talking about sales funnels in this presentation, we did quiz funnels. And I mentioned that. So very similar kind of approach, YouTube, Google Tag Manager, Google Ads, Google Analytics. But instead of taking them to a webinar, now we're taking them to a quiz. And this quiz was built in Typeform. So shout out to them. And then this quiz is kind of like a qualifying quiz. So I'm sure a lot of us out there have taken a fun quiz. We've shared it on social media. BuzzFeed is notorious for this. So, I'm sure a lot of people have been to BuzzFeed and it's fun, right? Like, probably when you're in grammar school and you hear you got a pop quiz, it's like, I'm not ready for this. But this isn't a pop quiz. This is a quiz that's fun. It's interactive. There's GIFs. It's serving as a place for a salesman to qualify people instead of just having a dud, boring form, right? Like imagine if you were working, for example, as a mortgage loan officer and you had to get all of this financial information about somebody buying a home. Would you really turn a lot of people off by just having a static page and being like every other mortgage loan officer out there? Would you want to be interactive, create a cool looking video that grabs their attention, teaches them something, adds value? Now they're taking this fun interactive quiz, and at the end of the quiz, they're getting some unexpected, delightful result of that quiz, whether it's value, whether it's setting up an exclusive call or something like that. And so we found that quiz sales funnels are actually a really fun way to get very high quality leads that actually will close to sales. So that was another new service offering that we were then offering through YouTube ads. We did a number of different video shoots. So another quote that I have is, good things come to those who book flights, right? Like I know that business and travel has, shifted dramatically in the last year. It's been great. Actually, I've had the chance to meet with some of our clients. So, if Mark Gambali or Lenny or any of these people are watching this video in Colorado, we're meeting with them. So it's really nice to do that. Also, shout out to Kyle. He's in the room listening to this presentation. He got to travel for business, right? So like, I know that these in-person things are still valuable. We all know that we're all starving for that human interaction more than ever. And looking at video shoots, like we want to expand and do more of that. And so we actually were able to go to San Diego and Greensville within just the last year to do these on-person video shoots and start offering that more as another service solution. I talked about building out landing pages, right? You can see an example of the solar industry, and we're working in the remodeling industry. The difference between maybe having those forms or doing surveys or quizzes, right? So that was kind of a new thing that we were doing. We didn't have to go build crazy websites, right? I'm not a website developer. I've spent a large majority of my life learning a lot about websites and WordPress, and definitely have built our whole website, done all those things. But landing page is very simple, right? It could be a very one-pager, kind of 5 bullet points, call to action. At the end of the day, we've tested this and we know that, simple landing pages work best and they convert if you're adding value or answering a question. Another thing we did was webinars, as I mentioned. Webinars exploded last year. And so, we did a social media marketing webinar. We're actually able to partner with Poster My Wall, so shout out to them. And then we did a presentation on how to make e-commerce sales through our YouTube ad sales funnel. We did that through a major tech conference that was global for Gal Tech. So I kind of put down here at the bottom, right? Success is no accident. It's hard work, it's perseverance, it's learning, it's studying, it's sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you're doing or learning to do. So I think those webinars are a great quote for that, because I know for like the Poster My Wall webinar, I think I spent something crazy like 100+ hours preparing for that webinar. And, at the end of the day, it gave us a reach to millions of people we would never have connected with. We got to co-host, we got to live multiple stream with Restream. It was a really unique experience. It was a lot of learning, it was a lot of hard work. But at the end of the day, it really kind of put us on the map. And then that opened us up to our first webinar to really do more webinars. And that's like a big thing that we're doing now. We're doing a lot of webinars. Another thing that I mentioned was the ManyChat partnership, right? So this is actually funny enough, if you can believe this is me drawing here on the right-hand side. I love to draw, and just kind of mapping out like, what does a chatbot flow look like for a consumer? And so I kind of wrote out this Rosie the chatbot. Funny enough, shout out to another intern in Evelyn, if she ever sees this presentation. She didn't even know who Rosie the robot was. It made me feel kind of old, actually, a little bit, but I'm glad that she knows who that is, the Jetsons. It's a great cartoon show if you've never seen it. And so she kind of helped us build that out. And that was kind of that flow. We became a ManyChat partner. We actually got a corporate project through the headquarters of Waste Connections of Colorado to look at chatbot solutions for them. And then we started offering this as a new solution, right? The next thing that we have as new services was those quizzes that I kind of explained. So we had that quiz funnel, but what does that quiz look like, right? So this is kind of that screenshot if you're watching the presentation, like the specific questions. We're using GIFs in them to make them more engaging, and then the leads are coming straight to you. So just a more fun, interactive way to make sales and get higher quality leads. When you're looking at a sales funnel, right, for that go high level, you know, this is kind of the screenshot that you would see if you're watching the presentation, right? There's a page, there's a survey, there's a thank you page, or maybe there's another page that we're sending them to if they're not qualified, right? So a basic sales funnel, if you don't know what a sales funnel looks like, is you are providing value, whether it's a free case study or a webinar or whatever, and you're collecting those leads. And then as you collect their information, right, generally first name, last name, email, phone number is kind of like your main requirements. You can then follow up with them. You can send them automated emails. You could send them voicemail drops. You could send them text messages. And then based on how people are moving through your funnel, then they can get different nurturing sequences. And this is very related to marketing automation, CRM. And then finally, the last thing that we saw a lot happening last year is people want to book calls now. People want to do virtual calls. People are not talking on the phone as much. They want to see you. I mean, I think I've seen most CEOs now using Calendly. It just automates that back and forth scheduling of time. It's a really easy way. And so this is kind of what that sales funnel build creation looks like. Next thing right here that I have is the case study for us. So obviously we're building all these sales funnels for other businesses and growing their sales and leads. And it's like, well, wait a second, like we're getting clients now, let's do this for us. So we actually started doing that really, I would say more this year, where we are making a sales funnel budget for our company to run sales funnels. And you can actually see that, you know, this video that I have on screen, if you're watching, you can see the leads that we have just generated recently in about the last, I would say, 3 to 4 months. Pretty much over the summer, we launched our solar sales funnel, and we're getting a return on ad spend, which is the idea of like, how much do you pay versus how much do you get back, right? We're getting like a 2.5 4x ROAS. I thought I would briefly play the video. You're not going to see the audio, but just showing like, hey, schema violation of me walking on the beach, talking to my audience of solar pros, saying, do you want more solar leads, right? Like this video really hits the nail on the head of like us getting more solar clients and hitting some of these pain points. And I won't walk through it, but just some really kind of creative things. Actually, that video was taken when I did our video shoot. I actually went out, did a video shoot for a client for their sales funnel. And then while I was out there, I filmed some of our own. So it's like me waking up on the beach, explaining, hey, this is how we get you solar leads. And then you can see the results, right? Like we're getting 4 times our return on investment for sales. And actually our biggest clients today have now come from this video and our other video in our solar sales funnel. So I would definitely recommend that, and don't let them hold you down. Reach for the stars from that quote. We expanded teaching and training a lot last year. I mentioned the consulting. I also shout out earlier in the presentation, Digital Workshop Center. They were, as most schools, took a lot of that in-person learning and they shifted it online, right? So they actually stopped having these in-person classes and everything went Zoom and virtual. And so I was able to get hired by them at the end of last year. They were looking for a new Google Ads and analytics instructor. And you can kind of see these screenshots if you're watching the presentation again on Facebook with some quotes. You know, I had a lot of my personal network engaged when they found out I was going to be a teacher in higher education, which I think is great to be able to teach some of these digital marketing things that they're not talking. And you'll see that other quote there at the bottom, me doing my first podcast interview, doing a virtual classroom speaking engagement in Pakistan. I was doing it all socially distanced from my bedroom on a video conference call in Denver. So that also, I think, teaches you that, you know, in today's world, we really are living in a global world where you can do sales online, you can teach online, and, you know, we're hoping we're going to get back to that in-person thing. But these are all things that were really new for us and for me. Brand deals, I mentioned, is a way for you as a brand to strategically partner with other influencers, right? So this diagram, if you're watching the video, kind of shows that, right? Like if you can find an influencer, which is generally somebody that has a large following, they're putting out really good content, you can partner with them and make them content so that you're saving them time and then promote their products, right? So we actually shout out to the Spice Guy company. They're a company here in Denver, Colorado, locally based. They reached out to me. They sent me this awesome email, and they were like, "Ben, we want to ship you a bunch of spices and have you promote our products." So actually, you can, if you're watching the video, this is our video that we released not shortly over the summer on using their product. And this is a big thing for us now as another service, right? We're going to be reaching out to brands that want to work with people like us that are influential or that can create really cool content and promote them. And right, that comes across sometimes better, right? When a consumer is promoting your brand versus somebody in your company promoting your brand, right? It comes more authentic, I would say. So that was also another service that we expanded to. And so where does that leave us today, right? I mean, I've really blasted through a number of these different things that we're doing. So over in the past year, like regardless, against all odds, against people telling me I should stop, against not getting any funding, against cutting salary, living in the woods, being off the planet, off the map, we acquired 15 new YouTube ads clients across 5 emerging industries. We partnered with students and universities. We have a current global diverse team of good-looking people to the right there, of 8. We're a high-level partner. We do automated sales funnels and chatbot flows now. We produce over 65 YouTube videos that generated 200,000 in views and 2,000 subscribers. We published our first ebook product on how to become a YouTuber on Amazon, and we created a 2,000 attendee multi-streaming live social media webinar for business owners that, by the way, we co-hosted with Poster on My Wall, who has over 2 million customers. So I would just say, you know, I think resiliency in 2020 taught us a lot. And if anything, it also told us to focus on what matters and to stay positive. Good things will happen. You know, there's a lot of negative things that happened out of last year, but I think when there's struggle, there's also innovation and there's development. And so it's just cool to see our evolution in sales and getting those things done. So the last thing I'll leave you guys with is my email. Feel free to reach out if there's anything. Maybe if you're considering YouTube or you're looking for more leads or sales funnels, I'll leave my email here. And then I actually have my picture here with me with a crazy mustache and long hair, repping the STS9 and Rolling Stones there in the woods with my mom that I was on a hike on doing some yoga. And I remember updating this before the year ended, and it just said, "Stay focused. Don't let anyone get in the way." So with that, I think we're right at the 11 o'clock dot. So I did well for timing. I hope everyone's enjoyed the presentation. I know that my time is up, but I'd be happy to answer any of the comments that are in the presentation. And that is my presentation.